This is Straight Talk with Atlanta native Greg Fann, the preacher man, and his sidekick Shanan Jones. Frank discussions of issues affecting the ATL, Fulton County, the state of Georgia, the nation, and around the world. And now, here they are, live and in living color, the team of Jones and Fann, the preacher man.
Well, welcome this week to Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the preacher man, and Shanan E. Jones. Boy, we got a great program for you tonight. Miss C with news and information. And of course, if you have news and information, don't forget to share that with Miss C. She loves to put your information out, whether it's about a picnic, what about what's going on, events, special events that may be going on in your life or the life of your church or your business. She would love to be able to make announcements for you right here on Straight Talk. That's Straight Talk News, 1362 at gmail.com. You know, we've been talking about Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump, Mr. Trump. We've been talking about Mr. Trump. And guess what? Fox News now, his news station, the one that really brags about Mr. Trump and really cover up all the stuff that Mr. Trump doing to spin it like he's innocent. He shouldn't go to jail. He shouldn't this. How about news commentator on Fox says that Mr. Trump, is swindling pretty much the RNC, the Republican National Committee, for money, draining them for money for his legal offenses, draining them for money for his suits, and not putting money in the campaign and helping other candidates in the Republican Party down the line. Well, you're going to hear all about it. We'll be back on the other side with Brian Cohen as he talks about it and he shares it with us about what's going on with Mr. Trump and his new Bible. Boy, don't you go nowhere. We'll be back on the other side with Miss C, and after Miss C, Mr. Cohen, and the Fox News reporter. Don't you dare touch that dial. You're listening to Straight Talk and viewing Straight Talk with your truly Greg Fann, the preacher man. We'll be back on the other side.
Oh, hi. Miss C here with your 3-minute news blast. Prayer is Powerful Breakfast will be held May 4th, 2024, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Vision Ministries Holiness Church, 659 Larkin Street in Atlanta. Contact Pastor Doris Colquitt for more information at 770-866-8225. Booker T. Washington High School, yay, invites you to its Centennial Breakfast. That's Saturday, April 20th, 2024, beginning at 9 a.m., doors open at 8 a.m. at the Georgia International Convention Center. Contact Reginald Starr for more information at 404-525-1215, or you can send him an email at rdstar, and that's star with 2 R's, at bellsouth.net. Alta Dementia Summit, the Role of the Black Church, will be presented April 25th through the 27th, 2024 at the House of Hope Atlanta in Decatur. To register or get more information, visit www.alterdementia.com. That's ALTERDEMENTIA.com. You'll see the register icon right at the top of the screen. Well, that's going to do it for Miss C. We'll see you next time. Bye.
He's been out crisscrossing the country talking about what he has done. I'm not going to pretend that everything is calm and beautiful and think if the election was held today that it would be a landslide. This is a dead heat race, and it's going to be a dead heat race on November 5th as well. I mean, these elections are decided by tens of thousands of people in a few key states, and that's it. But the idea that Joe Biden is struggling to raise money is ludicrous. The man had a $10 million haul in the 24 hours after the State of the Union. He had the largest fundraising month on record in February. The RNC is in complete tatters. The DNC is cruising. And anyone in their right mind would give almost anything to be able to raise $25 million in one night. And it's custom for previous presidents to campaign with the new presidents of their own party. No one made fun of Barack Obama when he said, Bill Clinton is my explainer in chief. I can't connect with people in kind of a folksy way, so I need Bill Clinton to come with me and to explain my policies this way. And then Obama obviously campaigned for Hillary Clinton, who didn't win the race, but for Joe Biden, and Bill Clinton was out there for him too. This is what you do, and there is a common enemy, and the enemy is whoever is at the top of the Republican ticket, and that is a shared mission. But you know, Donald Trump will get his money out of the SPAC for sure, but you have this contrast of someone who is selling out events like this, which by the way has tickets that go for $200. It's not all $500,000. And Donald Trump is on, you know, doing ads hawking $60 Bibles. He's siphoning off donor money to pay for his legal fees. It's a pretty stark contrast of what's going on.
This is Fox's token liberal Jessica Tarlov giving a not-so-rosy lay of the land for Republicans as far as their finances are concerned. This comes on the heels of a bombshell joint fundraiser with Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, and Joe Biden. The three of them will take part in a discussion moderated by Stephen Colbert at Radio City Music Hall in New York, accompanied by musical guests like Queen Latifah, Ben Platt, and Leah Michele, with tickets ranging from $250 to $500,000. The event has already raised a staggering $25 million in a day. And in fact, to convey the extent to which this is decidedly bad news for Donald Trump and his campaign, I'll go ahead and read a tweet posted by right-wing pundit Charlie Kirk. Tonight will be the largest fundraiser in political history, $25 million in hard money raised in a single evening for Biden. This is more raised in one night than Trump raised the entire month of February. Democrats are beginning to fine-tune their messaging, and they have a standing army of 5,000 plus full-time organizers on the ground in key states. We are outgunned and will be outspent. It's not often that I look to elevate the words of far-right provocateurs like Charlie Kirk, but in this case, I think the exception's worth it. And of course, tonight's event only adds to the already massive financial lead that Biden has over Trump. Joe Biden's campaign just raised a staggering $53 million in February alone, bringing their total cash on hand to $155 million and far outpacing the Trump campaign's $40 million cash on hand. And I'd attribute the difference to two major reasons. The first, no one wants to donate to Trump because he spends all of his money on legal fees. The guy just barely found a creditor to cover his $91 million bond in the E. Jean Carroll verdict, and now he's still searching for a creditor to cover his $175 million bond in the New York fraud verdict. Trump has also effectively combined his operation with the RNC, which does nothing other than give him access to a lot more money and to do with it what he wants. And right now, what he wants is to make bonds and hang on to his properties. So I want to be perfectly clear here. If you donate to Donald Trump's campaign or to the Republican National Committee, you are paying Donald Trump's lawyers. That's it. Your money isn't going to voter registration or turnout or down-ballot races. You are paying overpriced lawyers to litigate cases that they are not going to win. You're paying Alina Habba and Chris Guys so that they can watch their client lose hundreds of millions of dollars because his cases are all home runs for the prosecutors and the plaintiffs. So if you're looking to fund some high-priced attorneys in losing cases, by all means, donate away. And not for nothing, but it looks like even Republican donors are starting to recognize the con, considering Trump is having so much difficulty raising money from small-dollar donors. That's made even more abundantly clear by the fact that the dude is hawking $60 Bibles now to his supporters.
What can we do? Stand up, speak out, and pray that God will bless America again. I'm proud to endorse and encourage you to get this Bible. We must make America pray again. Pray, get educated, get motivated, and stand with me and the legions of Americans asking God to bless our great nation, to bring our great nation back, and to make America great again. I'm proud to partner with Lee in this offering. He's a very special man, both as a talent, but maybe even more so as a human being. He's very, very special. And I think you all should get a copy of God Bless the USA Bible now and help spread our Christian values with others. There you have it. Let's make America pray again. God bless you, and God bless the USA.
Because nothing says I'm doing great financially quite like, hey, give me $60 for this Bible that I slapped my name on. And by the way, just as a quick aside, anyone who's foolish enough to buy a Bible from Donald Trump probably hasn't seen this.
Okay. You mentioned the Bible. You've been talking about how it's your favorite book. And you said, I think last night in Iowa, some people are surprised that you say that. I'm wondering what one or two of your most favored Bible verses are and why?
I wouldn't want to get into it because to me that's very personal. You know, when I talk about the Bible, it's very personal. So I don't want to get into verses. I don't want to get into.
There's no verse that means a lot to you that you think about or cite.
The Bible means a lot to me, but I don't want to get into specifics.
Even to cite a verse that you like?
No, I don't want to do that.
You're an Old Testament guy or a New Testament guy?
Probably equal. I think it's just an incredible. The whole Bible is an incredible. I joke. Very much so. They always hold up the Art of the Deal. I say my second favorite book of all time. But I just think the Bible is just something very special.
But sure, a real God-fearing Christian.
Boy, did you hear that? Did you hear that? Did you hear Donald Trump trying to peddle his own Bible, not the Holy Bible, but his own Bible, and he didn't even know a Bible verse. He don't even know the Bible verse. Jesus wept. Lord have mercy, have mercy. He's a swindler, he's a con man, and he's using weak people to send him money and weak people to vote for him. Boy, don't you dare spend a dime on a Bible that's not the Holy Bible written by men inspired by God, not men like Donald J. Trump. Right? We're going to get ready to go down to our second segment here with Shanan and myself and others. Talk gun violence. So don't go nowhere. You stay right there and tell a neighbor, tell a friend to tune in to Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the preacher man, and Shanan E. Jones. Second segment of Straight Talk with yours truly, Greg Fann, the preacher man, and Shanan Jones. And we have our guest with us tonight, and Shannon's going to bring them on, and we're going to talk about the issue about gun control and gun violence. I know you are interested in gun control and gun violence and what's really going on in our world today, in our society, in our community. Shanan?
Well, listen, we have two great brothers with us tonight, Apostle Daryl Winston and Brother Lungy, who are in a collaboration right now entitled The Fierce Urgency of Now. But I want each of these men of God and these men of God's mandate today to bring about the plan of God in this world. I want each of these brothers to just quickly introduce themselves more thoroughly, and then we want to jump into Bishop Fann, the peace plan and the work that they are doing to really bring about substantive violent reduction in the metropolitan area, throughout the state of Georgia, and really throughout this country. So I'm going to begin. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I'm glad to have them on tonight on Straight Talk, and of course to our IGO listeners, and we'll put their information up so they can give you their name, their numbers, and so if you want to get in touch with them, please do, won't you? All right, Shanan.
All right, let's begin with Apostle Daryl Winston. If you will please tell our listening audience and our viewers who you are, and certainly we will let folks know how important you are to this cause and the work that we do.
You're muted.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jones. Thank you, Bishop Van. I am so happy to be on Around the World and to be a part of this conversation, especially in the wake of so many tragedies throughout this region as it relates to gun violence, specifically the growing impact that it's had on our community and our youth. And I'm happy to be a part of it because we have a high mandate to do something, and we know that the prophets in the land are pointing the way, and we have already created a plan that I believe is going to be very key in bringing reduction and transformation. So thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. An important voice in the city throughout this metropolitan area, and one who literally stands in the gap, holding our community together with government and with the prophets, with clergy as well. Great leader. The next brother we want to talk to is we want to introduce tonight is Brother Leonard Dungy. Leonard Dungy, tell us who you are, sir.
Hello, everybody. My name is Leonard Dungy, Executive Director of Hope Hustlers. Hope Hustlers is a boots on the ground community violence intervention program, and we deal with the highest risk youth um, and their families, and serve as a conduit for them to receive those necessary services that would help them thrive and and succeed in society. So it's a metropolitan wide. It's violence is a public health issue, and we address it as such.
Bishop Fann, when young folk are thrown out of the alternative education system, when they're thrown out of the alternative school, uh, that's when Brother Dungy and others that work with him grab them. Many of those young people are somewhere on the spectrum, impacted in some kind of way by gang activity. And it's the work that Brother Leonard Dungy has done many years with his mother and several others, Sister Gwen Sands, to grab these young people that have been put out of the alternative. So that's three times removed, and they grab them and put them back on a street called straight. So we're happy to have Brother Leonard Dungy and Apostle Winston with us on tonight. Let's have a discussion, Bishop. You got it.
All right, let's begin our discussion tonight. And what I want to do, Brother Dungy, I want to start with you first. I met you, and you may not recall this, but I met you at an event that the mayor had over in the Grady Home, the old Grady Home community. We were there, and there was some talk about gun violence and what we were going to do to eradicate gun violence, and people were there from Grady's and talking about those things and what have you. But you boots on the ground. You are boots on the ground. You have been doing it for a while. Let's talk about what you see and what the solution is, and then we'll go to Pastor Winston and then we'll hear from him from a religious and a pastoral perspective. Yes, sir.
Well, first of all, one of the things when I said the highest risk, I mean those I do. We work with everyone, and no one's turned away, and that's just my mother, and me, and my legacy in that we don't turn anybody away, but we treat violence like a disease, and so we have to focus on those who are at the highest risk, not at risk, at the highest risk, and these are the youngsters, youth, and young adults who are at risk to shoot somebody or be shot today. And I think, when Pastor Jones, we were talking about it, it's not even a gang issue. And, that's not, that's just a spit in the barrel, for lack of a better term. But we want to, and that's what we do. And then we serve as a conduit. When we say violence is a public health issue, it's treated like a disease. There's three parts of treating a disease, and it's you have to interrupt the transmission, prevent the spread, and change group and social norms, what we just went through with COVID. But more importantly, people need food, water, clothing, and shelter and sleep. Violence, one of the main root causes of violence is poverty. And Atlanta just happens to be a city where the gap between the haves and the have-nots is widened, and the loss of the middle class per se in the city of Atlanta, and we also have to understand the dynamics of Atlanta. We were just talking about this earlier. Atlanta the city only has 500,000 residents. The other 6 million people, if it wasn't for those surrounding counties, there would be no metropolitan Atlanta. But we want to focus on those, and we do it through the school, we do it through the courts, and we do it just by being boots on the ground, street outreach, being known in particular areas in Metro Atlanta, but being credible and someone you can go to. That's a police alternative. We're a sentencing alternative, and so we're trying to give you an opportunity, and not just that participant, but the entire family. It makes no sense for me to deal with a participant and work with him 4 to 6 hours a day and then send them back home to a toxic environment. And so what we have to do is we have to reach out to those highest risk individuals initially, and then surround them with support, love, some God, And then not only them, we have to extend that to their families and their peers. And so that's how gun violence, what we call community violence intervention, um, that's what it entails. And so it's a whole ecosystem. I'm boots on the ground, but then, the faith-based community, the hospital, schools, the courts, politicians, while, we need buy-in, this is not a political issue, it's a public health issue. So that's how we address it.
Can you give them the name of your organization and how they can get in touch with you?
Yes. Name of my organization is Hope Hustlers. Hope stands for Healthy Empowerment, Healthy Outreach and Positive Empowerment. And you can reach us at 1-833-936-HOPE, or at our website is hopehustlersatl.org.
Okay. And the reason I said that because a lot of parents, a lot of single mothers, they're raising boys. They need to be able to call someone like you when they see their kids going or their sons going straight, because you can grab them and help the parent as well as the children with your organization. Can you just give it one more time so I can put it up on the screen?
Yes, 1-833-936-HOPE is the number, and our website is hopehustlersatl.org.
All right, all right. Let's talk to the preacher. Let's talk to Dr. Darrell Winston now. Dr. Winston, we're glad that you could join us tonight and just share with us what's going on with you and the faith community as it relates to what we're seeing in our community. You're an Atlanta. You're a true Atlanta. You're from Atlanta,
Yeah.
GA, the
Yes,
old
sir.
Atlanta. Yes, sir. Tell her what you're seeing and what you're feeling.
Well, in the formative years of my ministry, I worked with adjudicated youth in Washington, D.C., and was the senior counselor at a group home for delinquent girls. And so, as an advocate, going back and forth with the court system and seeing the various models in terms of intervention, and that shaped my thinking as it relates to how important it is for the church to be involved and to have a presence beyond the benediction and whatever our community is dealing with. And I know that we're dealing with symptomatics, and even as Brother Leonard hit it, poverty at the root. Atlanta is a tale of two cities, and the gap between the haves and the have-not widening. We know also that in many instances, so many faith leaders, preachers, and across our community, we're burying our children, and we know that many of us clergy are dealing with it's battle fatigue, seeing our sons and daughters become casualties of this war. And I know the politicians seek to use various slogans to uh, galvanize the people and create with these what we call nice slogans. But in as much as you want to present the new Atlanta in a way that will be appealing to the world, the stark reality is that it is also a war zone, and our children are becoming casualties of war, and our seniors and people are afraid. And so, what I know then is that in response, last year and a half ago, when our babies were murdered on that 17th Street bridge, 12-year-old Zion, and then the 17-year-old, and to see how faith leaders came to me and various ones said, Doc, we got to do something. And we stood on that bridge, and it was not just preachers, it was community activists and leaders, and people heard the call and say, this can't happen in our city. And so that collective fed upness, if you will, being fed up to the highest of fed uptivity, I sought out to assess who was doing the work, realizing that many of us as faith leaders, we don't have the resources or in many instances the know-how to to deal with the matters at hand. So I wanted to see and hear from organizations and Cure Violence Group that were doing the work. And overwhelmingly, the name Hope Hustlers was given to me. And Hope for Change, which is Brother Derek Townsend, and started hearing about the work they were doing. And my response to the faith leaders and preachers is we don't need to reinvent the wheel. We need to rally and get behind our sisters and brothers who are in the trenches 24/7 every day dealing with this, and find our role and find a way to collaborate and create workable solutions so that, as Brother Leonard stated, so the God factor, we can bring in the spiritual power and make sure that we have a holistic thrust in addressing this matter. And it is now, as has been stated, been cast as a public health crisis. And I'll never forget a year and a half ago, young Dro had this forum. They asked me to come and do the opening prayer. And on the platform, on the panel, there was a mortician, Willie Watkins, Gary Davis, who's doing the work, and a few others. And the opening statement, Gary Davis said, how many of you have guns or weapons on you? And it was such a large amount of them raising their hands. And he said, I want to hear from y'all. He said, what's up with the guns? And they stood in line, and the line went from the front of the South Atlanta Cultural Center to the back. And to hear these young people say why, and overwhelmingly many of them said for protection. And I said, as I sat there, I said, this is going to be, it's going to take all of us, every facet of our society, preachers, politicians. It's going to take the business community, because there is no way we can address this widespread thing. And as you know, as Brother Leonard said, it's just not a gang issue. But for so long, we had these stigmas about it just being children in the so-called hood or the wrong side of the track. But to see you got even children and youth and young adults in the most affluent areas of the city still having access to guns. And so I know for us, this is a high mandate. We cannot, and I say this often, as pastors, as faith leaders, engage in a narrow, see no evil, hear no evil escapism, because they are bringing them like remember when Jesus came down from the mountain of transfiguration, and the whose son was sorely vexed, one version said, and said to Jesus, I brought him to your disciples, but they couldn't help. And here we are in the 21st century. When Zion Child's mother said, I called the police. I called everybody trying to get help for my son. And I asked the preachers, I said, did you ever hear her say she called the church? You never heard her say, I called the pastors, I called the imam. I said, that's an indictment, because we know that used to be a time when they would call the church first. And so I know without a doubt that we must roll up our sleeves and go to work, because we got to save our seed, and we got to save this generation and generations not yet born. And we got to do something.
Want to be a guest on Straight Talk? Email Greg Fann at FANN922 at Comcast.net or call 404-308-0795. Join us again for another episode of Straight Talk with Shanan Jones and Greg Fann, the Preacher Man.